Yes, every once in a while I have to oh. We are Rebecca and Lisa, the hosts of Fluentish, the podcast, a show all about learning and loving languages. We are also the sister team behind Little Crab Educational Press, resources for teaching and learning languages made with joy. All Little Crab books and resources are created from years of experience teaching and learning in the classroom and in the real world. In this series, we are bringing you the story behind some of our signature products. All right, so welcome to the story behind the Tortoise Tile Method. This is our vocabulary study system that's an innovation on traditional flashcards. It's a large-scale installation of vocabulary that helps you create a simulated language immersion environment in your own home, which is something that we'll get into a little more detail later on. It hits on multiple language skills, even though it's primarily for vocabulary study. There's a shocking amount of stuff packed in there. It incorporates the body in language learning, which is scientifically backed on many levels. Having your body included in the learning process can help you deepen your knowledge and understanding of what it is that you're studying. And this system is useful for studying new vocabulary in nearly any language, even in your own native one. If you're learning specialized vocabulary for any reason, like law school or medical school, the idea behind it is Rebecca developed it as a way of helping herself learn a lot of vocabulary quickly, to retain that vocabulary for a longer timeline, and to recall the new words that she'd learned more quickly. So first off, Rebecca, set the scene for us. Where were you living when you figured this out, and what were you doing there?
So I was living in Shanghai. It was the third time that I had been to China. At that time, I was working as an ESL teacher. I have to quickly say that I have heard that it's not politically correct to say ESL. So in just about everything that we put out, and every time I have to mention that I taught English as a second language, I always kind of go, or EAL, because EAL means English as an additional language. So I'm sorry if that's sort of offensive to somebody. Most people don't know what EAL is, so I'm just going to stick with ESL for the rest of this video, I think.
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we each only have a second language, so
yeah,
we are second language learners. All right. So necessity is the mother of invention. Tell us the why behind you developing this. What was your original goal in creating what we now refer to as the Tortoise Tile Method?
It's kind of funny because the second time I lived in China, I paid a lot of money for a class to go to a class that was really far away from my apartment. I didn't end up finishing the classes, and I kind of wasted the money. And so I was kind of afraid of doing that again. And also I had a job full time because the second time I was there, I was a student. So I decided that I wasn't going to shell out money to go to a class. And so it was kind of all on me to get to continue my Mandarin progress.
You were transitioning to a self-study situation.
Exactly. Yeah. Because previous to that, I had been in university in the Pacific and Asian Studies, China concentration department. And I had either regular Chinese classes back home in my hometown, or, I was going to live in China to experience it so that I could, finish my degree feeling like I knew at least something about what I was talking about. So this third time that I went, I was no longer attached to any schools or anything like that. And I was, again, just going to basically teach ESL. So I was kind of taking my, things that I had learned in becoming a certified ESL teacher and somewhat putting them to the test. But because I had so much, free time, I was able to spend time thinking about how to optimize the way that I was studying.
Right.
So I wanted something that I could see from many different angles, because I figured that, a lot of people give advice about doing Post-it notes, but they're really small, like putting up Post-it notes around your house. Some people do that to be like, this is a lamp, this is a refrigerator.
Right.
But I didn't want to do that. I didn't need so many of the words that were around the house. I wanted to learn the words I wanted to use in conversation. So I gathered together.
I love lamp, Sorry.
So I gathered together all of the words that I wanted to learn. And I decided to try to utilize this great big white wall that I had in my apartment, in my bedroom. And I just kind of realized one day that, like, hey, if I lay on my bed and I put these 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper in a grid format up on the wall, then I kind of can't escape them, I can't hide from them. They are there, right? And it's when something is big and splashy and colorful like that, you can't help but look at them. And I wanted that to be working on my subconscious as well as when I was like actively, intentionally studying. Right. And so I realized that if you have a set of flashcards that are handheld, like paper flashcards, like literal cards, or like some kind of a digital flashcard app, those are great. Those are convenient, for on the go, but they don't do anything for creating an immersion environment in your own house. Right. And obviously, when I would go out on the streets, I was in China. I had the immersion.
You were immersed.
I was immersed. But in my own house, or apartment, I had the option to make it all English if I wanted to, right. And I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make it, again, as optimal a study environment as possible.
And squeeze all the juice out of the living in China.
Exactly. So I found that, carrying around a bunch of like physical flashcards can be extremely cumbersome, and they're really hard to organize and sort and like index. And also, like, back then, cell phone apps weren't as is prolific the right word? No.
Proliferated?
Yeah, right. Thank you. Proliferated as they are now. So it wasn't even as much of a thing. So I realized that, hey, if you lay down on your bed or a couch or something and get really cozy and your flashcards are across the room from you, then you're not going to want to get up.
Yeah, you're getting into the next question I want to ask you.
Okay.
What are you solving with the Tortoise Tile method?
Yeah, if you have a handheld flashcard, it is way too easy to just go, I don't know, and just flip it open, right?
Yeah.
And I used to try to sort them into I know it right away. I don't know it very well. I don't know it at all.
Yeah.
But sometimes even just to do that, you have to flip it over to be kind of more sure that you're putting it, if you're going to try to sort them into 3 categories.
Right.
So having them on the wall meant that if I came up against a word that I really didn't know, I had a few different options. I could skip it and hope that it bubbles into my subconscious, a few rows over, and I can go back and go, oh, that was the word. Or I could kind of gamify it. I don't really want to get into the weeds about that, but the solve that Tortoise Tiles provide is that you are forced to think of the word if you don't want to get up, and your body naturally doesn't want to get up if you're comfy and cozy. So it makes your brain work harder to recall the word.
Right. Right. So the principle that we have working for us here is inertia, which is a body in motion wants to stay in motion, but a body at rest wants to stay at rest.
Yeah.
So coziness, comfort is a huge factor in leveraging the Tortoise Tile method.
100%.
Yeah. All right. So you kind of mentioned before, obviously, when you were innovating this, you drew from your years of Mandarin study where you were in school being taught how to learn, and also your years of teaching experience went into the development of this. So can you talk a little bit just a bit more detail about the concept of what a simulated language immersion environment is, and why did these help create one in a way that's more effective than, for example, using a Post-it that as soon as you start vacuuming your house is going to fall down to the floor?
Yeah. So, I mean, immersion obviously means picture a jar of water, and if you plop yourself in there, then you're immersed in the water. So how can you make your environment as full of the sights, sounds, tastes, of your target language as possible? Obviously, visually, the Tortoise Tiles take up a lot of physical space on purpose, and they attract your attention to your target language in a way that other flashcards wouldn't do.
Right.
You can be not intending to study that day or that hour or something, and you might be going from one room to the next to do laundry. You can catch a tortoise tile in the corner of your eye and just do it. Like, just do that word, you know?
I've actually learned like 4 or 5 of the words from our New Year's tortoise tile book from visiting your house. I know kisses and December and January, and there's one other one I can't think of right now because I'm not at your house.
Lisa's like learning to read
by
Mandarin
accident.
by accident. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So she's not even learning Mandarin, and it's already, the tortoise tiles are working, right? So,
Yeah.
you know, you can use as much or as little of your walls as you want to. If you want to dedicate, you know, one X number by X number of, you know, rectangle, and that's it. That can be your spot. But you can also plaster them all over your house. It just depends.
Yeah. We
And
always
so,
say it's a flexible tool because you can install it the way that's going to work the best for your brain. For Rebecca, it's a grid.
yeah.
Because it has to do with like in her mind when she's going through it, she's like, oh, I don't remember this word. If she can remember the word before or after it, that often will help kind of pop the word into her brain.
Yeah.
But if you are more suited to the like lamp and da 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 kind of thing, or like if you associate, like you could put all food words in your kitchen or whatever, like whatever is going to form the most connections for you.
Totally.
That's why this is a flexible system, because we're not saying it has to be done in a grid. It has to be this many, you know, da, 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 you have to read them this way to this way kind of thing.
You can mix it up too. You can try it one way and then try it a different way. So
true.
And then if you are trying to do a holistic immersion environment, then you can do things like finding radio stations that have your target language and have that playing all the time in the background, whether you're actively listening or not. TV shows, obviously, you know, the list goes on about things that you can see and hear and read and write at home that will solidify vocabulary of your target language for you.
Awesome. Yeah, and the Tortoise Tile Method is, in our opinion, one of the best visual cues that you can give yourself for your simulated language immersion environment. Okay, so we're coming to the end. Like, that's all of the questions that I have, but I just wanted to give you a second to offer any final thoughts, if there's anything else that you wanted to mention.
So one thing that people might not think of is that the tortoise tiles actually give you a chance to have a secondary layer of understanding when it comes to grammar, because we actually recommend that you color code the tortoise tiles, which give you a little bit of a hint as to their definition as well. So, you know, if you have two characters that are really similar to each other and you've learned that, well, actually this one's an adverb and that one's a noun or something like that, then if you make your nouns red, for example, again, you can do whatever you want. I like to do green for verbs because green means go, you know, and then for me, you know, adverbs are purple, adjectives are purple, adverbs are blue, you know, things like that. And you can color code other parts of speech. And so you're getting this extra added layer of grammar understanding. And also it can, if you're a visual person, it can really help with memory recall too. You know, if you're out and about having a coffee with a friend and you're trying to speak your target language with them and you have collected a bunch of words that you know you keep coming up against that you always forget how to say or have yet to learn. For me, for example, like function words, you know, I know a bunch of things that start the next sentence, you know, otherwise, likewise, you know, those kind of transition words. I need more of those to be more fluent in Mandarin. And so I would be putting those types of words on my wall if I were to do a wall of like conversation continuers, basically. And so then, you know, if I'm out and about, I can actually think back to the wall and like think of the color and sort of mentally try to find it in my brain that way. So there's a whole bunch of different reasons why color coding, or if you're visually impaired and are colorblind, then you can do a pattern thing we teach you how to do in the guide. So
we have a free guide to teach you how to do these yourself if you don't need the curated word lists that we provide in our Tortoise Tile books that you can get at littlecrabpress.ca. And we also have an explainer video on our YouTube channel that illustrates how the Tortoise Tile method works. So the whole setup coding, or the start to finish setup, color coding, symbols, whatever it is that you need to do depending on any kind of difficulties that you have, that information is available on YouTube, and the DIY free guide is available to subscribers to our email list. I know I said that was my last question, but what's your favorite thing about the Tortoise Tile method?
The moment when you think you don't know the word and you're absolutely certain that you're going to have to get up, and you get up out of your seat and you start to walk across the room or roll if you're in a wheelchair. And before you reach the wall, suddenly, somehow, some way, that standing up moment made the deep recesses of your brain go, oh, wait a second, it's this.
When you break the inertia.
When you break the inertia.
And that pops the word into your head.
And it feels like magic. It is crazy. I did not get that feeling when I had handheld flashcards.
Right.
It just didn't happen.
But I know you said the other day, you were like, I wish everyone could do it. I wish everyone would do it so that they could feel what it feels like.
It is so crazy that when you're sitting down, it's not coming. And then finally you resolve to get up and you take 3-4 steps across the room and bang, the word comes to you.
Yeah.
It's just really great that it kind of proves to you that it's working right then and there.
Right. It's also a really great excuse to buy a brand new pack of markers, like really good Sharpies.
Yes, juicy, juicy Sharpies.
Yum, yum, yum. All right. Well, thank you and enjoy the rest of your day.
Ditto.
Thanks. We hope you enjoyed this little peek behind the curtain. To learn more and to shop this and all the awesome products we make for you, whether you're already a language lover or just language curious for now, visit littlecrabpress.ca, resources for teaching and learning languages made with joy. I don't know how to finish that sentence. Okay, welcome to the... I got one good take of it, but the video was laggy. Like my hands just would all of a sudden appear. So I was like, okay, I'm going to redo it.